Reboot Combat Ministries reaches out to our veterans, the young men and the young women who are returning from war, ministering to them physically, but also spiritually. And it's my privilege to introduce to you Evan Owens, who is the founder and the director of Reboot Combat Ministries. I want him to tell you a little bit more about this ministry, and I want him to introduce our special guest today, Brian Flannery.
Yeah, war wounds the soul. And we've been at war nearly 14 years in this country. And our combat veterans and their families are hurting. But through Reboot Combat Recovery, those families are finally starting to see a breakthrough in their war against PTSD and combat trauma. You know, for most combat vets, when they get home, the war doesn't end. The war against an unseen enemy begins. And this unseen enemy is one that doesn't just want to take them out physically, but it wants to attack them mentally and spiritually. You know, in too many cases, this unseen enemy is winning. 22 veterans commit suicide every single day. At Fort Campbell, there's over an 85% divorce rate. I won't even get into how bad the statistics are in terms of alcohol abuse and domestic violence and childhood abuse and other things. But there's good news. There's good news. You know, at Reboot locations, both on military bases and off around the country, we are seeing God move in our military in some amazing ways. We're seeing marriages restored. We're seeing substance abuse after years of struggle finally overcame. In all of our locations, for 4 years now, we have had 0 suicides. That's good news, church, by the way. Right? Amen? That's good news. And one of the things that we look to as a marker is when someone goes through our process is that they, in turn, want to now start giving back and making a difference in others' lives. And Brian Flannery is with me today. He's one such example of someone that's went through. He and his amazing wife, Jen, who's here this morning with him, have already began at Fort Campbell making a tremendous difference in the lives. And he's impacted already over 150 combat veterans and their families just at Fort Campbell alone. And so I'm going to give him the stage to share a little bit with you.
So in 2010, I deployed with 2nd Brigade Combat Team out of 101st. And I deployed to Kandahar, Afghanistan, and was there for a few months before I was injured. The vehicle I was in rolled down a ravine, causing me to break my neck, dislocate my shoulder, caused multiple tears in my knee, some hip problems, lower back, and probably one of the worst of all was the TBI, the traumatic brain injury. I came back home and started my path to recovery, and I thought that I was doing it well because I was taking the box of medication that the Army had given me, and I was going to all the appointments, and when all that stopped working, I started self-medicating with alcohol, and I thought that I was doing well. And this whole time, I had no faith. I had no belief or relationship with Jesus. But an amazing thing happened, and I say it's amazing because when I tell you, you won't think it is, but it was. I tried to take my life. I got to the end of the road. I was tired of the mental, emotional, and physical pain, and I tried to take my life. That failed attempt led me to Reboot Combat Recovery. And what Reboot's done for me is changed my life. They were an on-ramp to faith. They introduced me to the one true healer, Jesus Christ, and more importantly, they equipped me with the tools to tackle the hard issues that I'd never dealt with, like forgiveness, guilt. You know, where was God when the men that I wear on my bracelets were killed? Why did this happen? And before I knew how to deal with those, it led me to that end. And so the thing is people ask me, well, why do you do this? Well, I do this because I know somewhere right now as we sit in this beautiful church, there's a veteran that is at the end of his line. There's a veteran that's about to take his life. And I just want everybody to know that there's a way out. That's not the answer, and there is a way out, and it's that little book in front of you, the Bible.
Brian is now a junior at Lipscomb University with over 3.9 grade point average. But more than that, he has a reason to live because of Jesus Christ, his Lord. And that's what the Middle Tennessee Initiative is all about. It's simply creating conversations around healthcare, poverty, and education so that we can lead people to Jesus Christ. If you would like to know more about this ministry, if you would like to meet Evan and Brian, they will be in the atrium immediately after the service. They have a booth out there, and we would love to give you some ideas of ways that you can plug into this ministry and reach out in very effective ways of helping our young veterans.